The air was dry. Red dust floated like mist above the cracked ground. Nothing had lived on this moon for a very long time. Commander Eliza Ray stepped out of the small dropship. Her boots sank slightly into the soft dirt. Around her, the Earth. Exploration unit began setting up scanners and tents. Status? She asked. A young soldier named Jace replied. No signs of life, Commander. But the readings are strange. Metallic ... But not from any known element. Eliza raised an eyebrow. Show me. Jace handed her a scanner. The screen showed a small area, about 4 meters wide, glowing with an unusual blue signature. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Dig, she ordered. 2 engineers began working. The dirt was easy to remove. After just a few minutes, one of them hit something. Clink. Everyone stopped. The sound echoed in the silence. It's metal, whispered the engineer. Clear, Eliza said. The soldiers brushed away the dirt carefully, their gloves trembling. Finally, the object was visible. It was small, shaped like a fork, but not like any fork used for eating. This one had only 2 long, sharp prongs and a strange spiral carved into the handle. It was glowing a faint blue, and the metal shimmered. Even in the shade. One of the soldiers laughed nervously. We came all this way to find a fork? Eliza didn't laugh. She stepped closer and stared at it. Don't touch it yet, she said. Scan it again. They did. The scanner began beeping rapidly. Then it shut off. That's not supposed to happen, Jace muttered. Eliza knelt beside the object. Where's General Roan? In orbit, Jace said. He'll want to see this. Call him now. 20 minutes later, orbit ship Black Anchor General Roan was a tall man with gray streaks in his beard and scars on his neck. He had seen wars, monsters, and galaxies burn. But now, as the image of the fork appeared on his screen, he leaned forward. Zoom in. The image tightened on the fork's spiral handle. Roan's face went pale. Get everyone off that moon, he whispered. The officer beside him frowned. Sir? Roan stood quickly. Evac all ground crew, no questions. No one touches that fork. Sir, it's just a... No, Roan said. His voice was firm. That's not a fork, that's a marker. The officer looked confused. Marker. For what? Roan didn't answer, he just stared at the screen. At the spiral on the fork. Back on the moon, Elisa's communicator buzzed. Roan's voice came through, sharp and urgent. Commander, evacuate now. Full retreat, burn all scans, delete all records. Sir, with respect, what is it? There was a long pause. Then Roan said, You just found a piece of the spiral code. Everyone around Eliza froze. No one spoke. Even Jace's mouth hung. Open. That's a myth, someone whispered. Not anymore, Eliza said quietly. Pack up, now. But before they could move, the fork pulsed again. The ground beneath it shifted just a little, like something breathing, and then their backup ship exploded. A fireball lit up the sky. Shockwaves knocked everyone to the ground. No ships left, Jay shouted. The fork pulsed faster. Beep ... beep ... beep ... Then it stopped. And suddenly, every screen, every scanner, and every com went dark. 4 hours later. Emergency shelter on the moon. The team had built a shelter from broken ship parts. They sat inside, silent, scared. No one knew what to say. Elisa stood alone, staring out through the window at the buried object. The fork. It hadn't moved. But the air around it shimmered like heat waves, and sometimes it hummed, a soft low sound, almost like a voice. That's when Roan arrived. A second dropship landed without warning. General Roan stormed into the shelter, his face like stone. Everyone stood. Elisa spoke first. Sir, what is the spiral code? Roan looked at her, then at the others. Finally, he sat down and took a breath. When I was a young officer, he began, I was stationed on Mars. We were digging under the South Pole, under the ice. We found something. A machine, small, old, dead. He paused. His voice dropped, but it had a spiral. The same spiral, on metal. And when we brought it to the surface, one of our scientists touched it. He screamed. His brain shut down. He died before he hit the floor. No one interrupted. Roan continued. We scanned the machine. Its atoms were wrong. They weren't from our universe. They didn't follow our physics. It took 2 years, but we managed to understand one thing. It wasn't a tool. It was a warning. Jace whispered. A warning for what? Roan looked out the window. For whatever built it. The spiral memory. Late that night, Eliza had a dream. She was standing on a planet made of glass. The sky was black. Stars moved too fast. The fork floated in front of her, and a deep voice whispered, "Open your mind." She woke up screaming. Half the crew had the same dream. The fork didn't move. But now its spiral glowed even brighter. Next morning, the team was ready to leave. Roan had called for emergency extraction. A larger ship would arrive soon. But something was wrong. The fork was gone. The hole was still there. But the object had vanished. No signs of movement. No tracks. No disturbance. Just gone. Jace pointed to the scanner. Sir. He handed Roan the screen. It showed something strange, a signal coming from deep under the moon's surface. It went down, Eliza said. Roan looked at the team. Pack your things. This moon is not safe anymore. But sir, I said, move. They moved. The final clue as they left the moon's surface. The crew watched the ground below. Suddenly, letters appeared burned into the red dirt. Perfectly straight. 3 words. In ancient Terran language. No one could read it except Roan. He looked, and his mouth moved silently. Eliza turned to him. What does it say? Roan didn't reply, but in his mind he repeated the words, "You are next." Back on the ship, the crew was quiet, scared. No one spoke for hours. Elisa sat beside the window. The moon was now behind them. Jace sat next to her. "Commander," he said, "what was it really?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Not a fork, then what?" Elisa looked out at the stars. A question. The moon was behind them, but the fear stayed. The crew of the Black Anchor stayed silent as the ship moved through the dark space. Everyone avoided looking at the main screen, where the strange red moon slowly faded into the distance. The memory of the glowing fork, the way it disappeared, the whisper in their dreams, none of it left their minds. General Roan stood alone in the command chamber. His face was pale. His eyes were fixed on a frozen image on the screen. The spiral dotted was just a shape, a design, but it made him feel small. Like something older than time itself had been watching him through it. Meanwhile, on Earth, thousands of kilometers away, deep beneath the Antarctic surface, a hidden research facility blinked to life. Lights flickered as machines began to hum. A lone computer screen turned blue. Text began to scroll across it on its own. Signal detected. Location, Lunar System Forgotten Moon 9. Frequency, unreadable. Transmission age, unknown. Format, pre-linguistics. Technician on night duty sat up straight. He leaned closer, confused. What the hell? Suddenly, all the lights shut off. Then the signal started playing. No sound came from the speakers, but the screen pulsed. And something moved in the technician's mind. He fell to his knees. His nose bled. And then, he started to laugh. The council demands answers. Back on the Black Anchor, General Roan received a direct message from the Galactic Peace Council. It was not a request. You are ordered to report. Now, Roan sighed. Of course. He turned to Commander Eliza Ray. You're coming with me. On the council ship, Virex Station, the council hall was massive walls of glass, open to space. Alien leaders from dozens of species sat around a circular table. Glowing names hovered above. Them. Earth's seat was empty. Roan walked in. Elisa followed. She looked small compared to the 9-foot-tall beings, the ones with floating eyes, wings, tentacles, and crystal skin. One of them, a glowing being of pure light, spoke first. "General Roan, you broke protocol." Roan nodded. "Yes." "You entered a forbidden sector. You touched ancient technology, and now we detect a signal." A screen appeared above them. The signal began to play. Again, no sound, just a low pulse, a deep vibration. It made the air feel heavy. But this time, it started speaking. One word, in perfect Terran English, "You." Elisa gasped out another voice, alien, but sharp, shouted, "Turn it off." The screen went black. Silence. Then another council member leaned forward. A creature with golden skin and 12 fingers, that spiral. "Do you understand what it means?" Roan stared him down. "Yes, I do. That's why I ran." Back in the command room after the meeting, Elisa followed Roan into the private Earth station. "You knew something," she said. "You still haven't told me." Roan closed the door and looked at her. "Do you remember the Spiral Project?" "No," she replied. "Classified, level Omega." Roan nodded. "Exactly. Hidden even from generals." He reached into a case and pulled out an old photo. Elisa took it. In the image, a younger Roan, standing beside a table. And on that table, a bigger version of the same fork. "You found one before?" "No," he said quietly. "We built it." Flashback, 60 years ago. Back then, Earth was just entering space politics. Weak, unknown. The top scientists thought they had found a way to open wormholes using sound. They built a small device with 2 prongs made from a rare black metal, found in an asteroid. They didn't know it was dangerous. Until they activated it. The moment they turned it on, people in nearby buildings collapsed. Machines started speaking in unknown languages. The night sky glitched, stars flickered like broken lights. The project was shut down. The device was buried and erased from every file except Roan's memory. Present. Eliza learns the truth. Elisa stared at the picture. "It looks just like the one on the moon." Roan nodded. "It is. The spiral isn't just a shape. It's a code." "For what?" Roan's voice was hollow. "For something older than thought." The linguist arrives hours later. A woman entered the black anchor. Tall, dark-skinned, with bright silver eyes. Her name was Dr. Lion Soul, Earth's best language specialist. She had studied 3,000 alien tongues. She even spoke in lights with the Brill INS. She stood before the signal screen. The council had asked her to translate the message that came from the fork. "I'll try," she said. She pressed play. The pulse returned. Low, cold, inhuman. Her eyes widened. Then she screamed and fainted. The spiral's second message, alien, was placed in medical care. Before she passed out, she had whispered one line. "It's not speaking to us. It's speaking through us." Roan knew what that meant. The signal wasn't a message. It was a connection, and it was still open. Meanwhile, another moon, another fork. The council received reports from a distant system. Science team had discovered a second fork. They activated it. The result? Total silence. No radio, no light, no life. Roan received the message. "The forks are waking up," he whispered. Desperation. Earth's president contacted Roan personally. "Should we evacuate the system?" Roan shook his head. "It won't help." "Then what do we do?" "We find the next one. Before it finds us." The warning from the stars. Back in the council, an ancient race known only as the Mourners sent a message. They spoke once every 1,000 years. The message was simple. "If you've found the fork. We're already too late. Bury your worlds and pray not to dream." The dream returns. Elisa slept that night. Again, she saw the glass planet. Again, The stars moved too fast. This time. She saw a shadow behind the fork. Not a person, not a god, something waiting. It opened one eye, and everything turned black. The stars outside the ship did not feel peaceful anymore. Commander Elisa Ray sat near the viewing screen of the black anchor, watching space move slowly past. Normally, it calmed her. But not today. Her hands were cold. Her thoughts were darker. She kept seeing that fork, that spiral, that thing that wasn't just metal. But something alive. Something watching. And now the dreams were getting stronger. Flashback: a soldier returns on Earth. A shuttle came crashing through the clouds. It landed hard at a military base outside the city of Lisbon. Sparks flew. The ship's sides were burned black. Soldiers ran to open the hatch. Only one person came out. His suit was ripped. Blood covered his chest. His helmet cracked. He was whispering something. The medics carried him away, but the whispers got louder. It eats. It's not sleeping. It's hungry. We woke it. We fed it. Then he screamed and passed out. Mission 9. Unauthorized return to the moon. Paced inside the war room. Red lights flashed on the main screen. A secret Earth team had returned to the Red Moon. They were not sent by Roan. They were scientists, thinking maybe the signal was worth studying. The mission had launched in silence. Without alerting the Galactic Council, Roan slammed his fist on the table. How many? 8 crew members, said the officer. How many returned? The officer swallowed. 1. The survivor speaks. The lone survivor's name was Dr. Canolan. He sat in a medical room, wrapped in thermal blankets. Eyes wide, face pale. Roan walked in and sat across from him. What happened? He asked calmly. And shook his head. You don't understand. You all think it's a message. You think it's a signal. Roan waited. Can leaned forward. His voice cracked. It's a mouth. The truth begins to unfold. Commander Eliza reviewed the recordings from Can's ship. The cameras showed the team landing on the moon. Everything looked calm until they opened the ground again. The moment the fork was uncovered, the sky changed. Not visibly, but in the way it felt, like the stars were breathing. Then one scientist touched the fork and vanished. No light, no scream. He just blinked out of reality. The others tried to run, but the door wouldn't open. Their own suits melted around them. And in the last frame, the fork turned toward the camera. It was a fork, but it was looking at them. Back in orbit, Eliza and Roan. I don't think it's a weapon, Eliza said. Roan nodded. Me either. I don't think it kills people, she added. I think it eats them. Roan turned slowly. Then why are the signals getting stronger? Elisa pulled up a star map. The signal isn't coming from the fork anymore, she said. It's bouncing all over the galaxy. Roan stared at the screen. The signals were forming a pattern. A web. And Earth was at the center. A message from the Brilliance. Brilliance, a species made of floating glass and energy, contacted Earth. They had heard the signal too. One Brilliant spoke in flashes of light. We know that symbol. We saw it before. Once, Roan frowned. Where? The Brilliant flashed again. Before our sun was born. The spiral is older than time. Brilliant shared an ancient story. Before stars lit the sky, before life began, there was something else. Not a being, not a god. Just hunger. It left behind pieces of itself in every galaxy. Small things, harmless looking, shapes, tools, symbols. They slept for billions of years. Until life returned and touched them. And then they woke up. The fork was not just a tool. It was bait. The fork's nature revealed. Roan stared at the fork's scan again. At first, it looked solid. But now, the data showed something strange. It wasn't made of matter. It was made of math. It changed every time they looked at it. Like it understood it was being watched. Roan finally said the words no one wanted to hear. It's not a machine. It's a parasite. Emergency meeting. Earth leaders panic in a hidden bunker under the Atlantic Ocean. Earth's top leaders gathered. Roan and Eliza were there. "We should destroy it," said one admiral. "No," said a scientist. "We tried. It just disappears and reappears." "Then what?" Roan stood up. "We don't destroy it. We don't run. We study it." "You're insane," someone said. "It kills everything it touches," Roan nodded. "And yet we keep touching it." Everyone went silent. He looked around the table. "Maybe we deserve what's coming." The fork appears again. This time, in space, a mining ship near Saturn sent a distress signal. The crew had found a floating object, a perfect replica of the fork. It was not on any radar. It just appeared beside their ship. Within 1 minute, all life support systems failed. The ship was found drifting. Everyone was gone. The fork? Still glowing, still humming. The fork spreads within days. Similar forks began showing up. On a desert moon in the Orson Belt, inside a sunken ruin on planet Jor 5, buried in a temple on Earth. Hidden since the Ice Age, each fork different in shape, but all had one thing in common: the spiral. Earth declares spiral level threat. General Roan created a new classification, Spiral Class Event. Rules were simple. If a spiral is found, do not touch, do not scan, do not try to destroy. Evacuate all life forms immediately. Leave the system. Because now they knew the fork was not the danger, that it was the invitation. Final scene. The whisper. That night, Elisa dreamed again. The fork floated in space. Behind it, the stars began to fade. Then she heard a whisper. "Your galaxy is small. Your minds are soft. You found my tooth." Elisa woke up in a cold sweat. She looked out the window. And far in the distance, something moved in the dark. Something big. Something coming. Years ago, hidden beneath the ice deep under Earth's South Pole, sealed behind thick walls of titanium. And silence. There was a room. No one was allowed inside, not without permission from the highest levels of Earth Command. This room had no windows. No lights stayed on unless someone entered. And at its center sat a large object, covered in a black tarp. It looked like nothing. Until someone uncovered it. And then everything changed. Present day. Return to Antarctica. Elisa stood at the edge of a massive frozen crater. Storm winds howled. Snow whipped her face. But the fear inside her was colder. Behind her, soldiers worked fast, pulling open old doors buried in ice. Heavy machines cleared snow that hadn't been touched in 40 years. This place was Facility 9. General Roan had ordered it sealed decades ago. Now it was being opened, because a new scan had shown something terrifying. A spiral, not from space, not from another planet, on Earth. The lab reawakens inside the old base. Lights flickered on. A quiet hum moved to the halls. Like a ghost, Elisa walked through dust-covered corridors. Everything was untouched. As if time had frozen, she stopped at a thick metal door. The number 001A was burned into the surface. She pressed her hand against the reader. It turned green. The door slid open. And inside was a nightmare. The first fork. The room was wide, silent. And in the center of the room stood a massive metal fork, 4 times the size of the one on the moon. Its 2 sharp prongs pointed toward the ceiling. Its handle was curved like a question mark, and on its surface the spiral. The same pattern, exactly the same. Only this one wasn't glowing. It was breathing. The power fails the moment Eliza stepped closer. The power inside the facility shut off. All lights died. All machines went silent. Only the fork remained. And now it glowed with a cold blue light. Elisa backed away slowly. Her earpiece went static. Her HUD began flashing strange symbols. And in the corner of her visor, a strange phrase appeared. Memory unlocked. Then came the whisper. Elisa's vision. She was standing in a forest, but the trees were made of glass. The sky was green. Stars were spinning above her head. Too fast. In front of her stood the fork. It floated in the air. And behind it, a shape. Massive. Impossible. Like space had taken from. It had no eyes, no mouth, but it watched her. And then it spoke inside her. This world is mine. You borrowed it. Return it. Or be eaten with it. She woke up screaming. General Roan arrives an hour later. Roan landed at the base. He entered the control room, pale and shaking. He looked at Eliza. You saw it, didn't you? She nodded. Me too, he said. The truth revealed. Roan opened an old case. Inside was a dusty notebook. Handwritten. Elisa picked it up and flipped through the pages. Drawings of spirals. Star maps. Equations that made no sense. And one final note. We built one by accident. We buried it, but now they've found the others. The spiral is not a message, it's a seed, and Earth is the first fruit. Global panic. News of the fork leaked. At first, Earth Command denied everything, but then reports flooded in from around the world. A spiral shape glowing under the sand in Egypt. A metal fork found inside a mountain in Japan. An old temple in South America showing the same spiral carvings, over 12,000 years old. Humans hadn't just discovered the forks. They had been living above them the entire time. Alien reaction. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Dozens of alien civilizations gathered in fear. One race, the Krellin, said something no one wanted to hear. Destroy Earth, now, before it spreads. Earth's ambassador stood in shock. You want to kill an entire planet? The Krellin leader didn't blink. Would you hesitate if your galaxy was at stake? Roan's refusal. General Roan received a secret message. A fleet was approaching Earth. Council wasn't going to wait. Roan gave one simple order to Earth's space defenses. Hold fire. Do not fight back. Elisa was shocked. They're going to destroy us. Roan looked at her, eyes tired. If we fire, we prove we're worth fearing. If we stay silent, maybe they'll pause. Elisa whispered, and if they don't? Roan replied, then Earth burns. A last attempt, contacting the spiral. Elisa had one idea. She returned to the large fork. Alone. She placed her hand on its spiral and whispered, why are you here? The metal vibrated. Then came the answer. To return. Your kind built walls. We are what is outside the wall. You are inside the dream. The spiral is the waking. Something rises as Eliza stood in front of the fork, the ground. Beneath the base began to shake. Tunnels cracked. Ice split open, and something rose. Not a machine, not a beast. Something old. It had no face. It had no name. It was made of hunger and memory, and it began to climb. Fleet arrives above Earth. Ships from dozens of alien races arrived, weapons charged, missiles ready. The order was simple: erase the planet before it's too late. Roan watched from the command station in orbit. He sent out one last message. Wait, please, just wait. Final scene. The spiral expands on Earth. The spiral glowed brighter. All over the world, forks began to hum in sync. The oceans turned still. The wind stopped moving, and in the skies, something began to form. Spiral of stars. It turned slowly. Patiently. Like an eye-opening. Waiting. Whispering. Whispering. Doppelquotes. This is not the beginning. This is the return. Darkness in the sky above Earth. The alien fleets had arrived. More than 300. Ships from 19 different species surrounded the planet. Their weapons were charged. Their shields active. They did not come to talk. They came to erase a threat. Inside the main Krellin command ship, Commander Threx looked at the swirling spiral. Appearing above Earth's south pole, his voice was cold. Fire on my command. Below, Antarctica burns deep beneath the ice. Facility 9 collapsed. The giant fork buried for decades was glowing, bright blue now. And it was not alone. 10 other forks had risen from the Earth's crust, each one in a different part of the world, each one humming with the same rhythm. People across the planet screamed from visions, some fainted, some stared at the sky, unable to speak. Some began to draw spirals over and over again. Even in their sleep, Eliza watches it begin. Commander Eliza Ray stood near the ruins of the Antarctic base. She could barely breathe. The air was heavy. The spiral in the sky was no longer made of light. It was made of stars, real stars moving unnaturally, as if the galaxy itself was bending. Behind her, the ground cracked open, and the fork spoke, not out loud, but into her bones. Now we wake. Roan's desperate plea in orbit. General Roan sent a final message to the Galactic Council. His voice shook, but he spoke clearly. Do not attack. You don't understand what's happening. The reply came from the Krullan flagship. We understand. Enough. You let it grow. Now we cut it out. Roan whispered, you'll only feed it. The fork's voice across Earth. Every radio, screen, and speaker turned on. No one touched them, but they all played the same sound. A whisper. One word. In every language, listen. Then came a soft hum, deep, slow, endless, and then it was. Never metal. It was never ours. It is not a weapon. It is the gate. Elisa's final vision. Elisa collapsed. The fork's glow was too bright. In her mind, she stood in front of something bigger than a planet. It had no face. No shape. But it had eyes. Not real eyes, but pressure. Presence, focus. It spoke through everything. You are the dream of dead matter. Now you wake. She saw herself vanish like a thought forgotten. Then she woke up, gasping. The weapon that doesn't work. The Krullan finally fired. Hundreds of energy blasts rained down on Earth, but they never reached the ground. Each beam curved, vanished, or froze midair, like the laws of physics stopped working. On every alien ship, systems failed, screams filled the halls, screens melted. Voices whispered from nowhere. One ship blinked out of space, completely. No trace left. Backlash inside. The brilliant vessel, the lights dimmed. A being of light screamed in its own frequency. It sees us now. They tried to flee, but space folded around them. Their ship flew in a circle forever, trapped inside a loop. The spiral's expansion from Earth's surface, the forks lifted into the sky. One by one, they floated upward, forming a ring around the planet. They began spinning. Fast. Then faster. Soon. A hole opened in the center. Not just black. Beyond black. Not emptiness, but absence. Roan watches the end begin. General Roan stood at the window of the black anchor. He saw the hole forming. He saw light being pulled into it. Ships disappearing into nothing. He whispered to himself. We woke it. And it's not done. Across the galaxy, spiral echo on distant planets. Other forks began to glow. Species who had never heard of Earth suddenly fell silent. On planet Varsa, a civilization 30,000 years old, simply stopped. Their last message. It opened. Back on Earth, the fork awakens fully. All the forks connected. Their glow became one. And then they cracked. Blue energy spilled out, and from that energy a shape formed. Not alive. Not machine. But memory. It stood above the planet like a giant, made of starlight and screams. No one could see it fully. No one could describe it, except with one word. Awakened. A message to all life. The voice returned. Not loud. But inside every brain. Inside every planet. Inside every drop of blood. You are mine. You carry my shape. You built yourself using me. Now I return to finish what I began. Earth holds its breath. Elisa stood, barely able to remain on her feet. Her team gathered near the last remaining fork. It now looked like crystal empty, dead, but something pulsed inside it. Is it over? Someone whispered. Eliza stared at the sky. No. It's only begun. Final scene. The map on the spiral surface. Something appeared. A map. Not of Earth, not of this galaxy, but of every Galaxy. Each marked with spirals. Billions. All slowly turning, all connected. And in the center. Earth. And below that, first host. Silence after the storm. Earth was quiet. No alarms. No ships flying. No gunfire. The forks had stopped spinning. The hole in space above the planet had closed. And the glowing figure made of light and memory had vanished. But everyone on Earth knew. It wasn't over. It had only paused. Like something holding its breath. Waiting. Watching. Elisa's single quotes. Word spread. Commander Eliza Ray sat at Earth Command HQ. Speaking to the world leaders. Her voice was calm, but her words shook every heart. It's not here to kill us, she said. It already won. Double quote silence. Then one voice asked, "What do you mean?" Elissa looked at the old, cracked spiral core. Placed on the table, we weren't the targets. She tapped the metal. We were the doorway. Roan reveals the oldest file. General Roan called a meeting with the last spiral task force. He brought with him something no one had ever seen. A dusty drive, over 100 years old. He placed it in the center of the room and turned it on. A video played. Soldiers screamed into the camera, "Do not build the spiral. If you hear it, run. Run and burn everything behind you." We saw them. We didn't understand. Now, we are part of it. The screen froze on the soldiers' eyes. They were pure black, like space. Like something else had looked out through them. The hidden Warroan stepped forward. "The spiral isn't a new threat," he said. "It's an old one. One that's been winning without us knowing." He tapped the table. "For thousands of years, it has taken our minds, our dreams, our inventions." Slowly, quietly, he turned toward Eliza. "That war. Already happened. The spiral's mark across the planet. Doctors reported something terrifying. People who had touched the forks or even dreamt of them had changed. Not in body, but in thought. They began to speak strange phrases, draw unknown symbols. Some wrote entire books in languages that didn't exist. And when they were asked about it, they just smiled and said, "It's teaching us." One man's suicide warning in Tokyo. A scientist jumped from a building. His last words were written in blood across his lab wall. "It's not coming. It's waking up inside us. We are the battlefield now." Alien allies abandoned Earth. The Brillians cut off all contact. The Krellin left the solar system. Without warning, other species began blocking transmissions from Earth. They were not angry. They were afraid. One alien message said, "You didn't lose the war. You became it." Inside the minefield, Elisa volunteered for a new experiment. To touch the spiral core again, this time with a mental shield built by the brightest Terran scientists. They placed her in a chamber deep under the Andes Mountains. The room was sealed. She placed her hand on the spiral. Nothing happened at first. Then her eyes rolled back and she began to speak. Elisa's message, not her voice, but her voice had changed. It was not hers anymore. It echoed. It vibrat. She spoke words in 3 different alien languages. Then she said, "You fear what you already are. You feed me with your fear. Every weapon you build, I grow. You call it technology. I call it roots." Then she collapsed. When she woke up, she remembered nothing. The spiral network grows satellites, began to detect more spirals, but not on Earth. On Mars. Then Europa. Then moons that had never had any life. The spirals were spreading faster. Now. Not metal forks, but patterns, burned into the ground, carved into ice. Even floating in the clouds. A secret from ancient Earth. An archaeologist found an old stone in Siberia, carved with symbols matching the spiral. It was dated to be 45,000 years old. Far before the first known human cities. And below it, in deep ice, was found a skeleton. Human. Holding a broken metal object. A fork, Earth's last idea. Lisa and Roan stood on the edge of a desert base, looking at something new. A machine built with alien tech, human design, and parts taken from the broken fork. It wasn't a weapon, it was a trap, a psychic mirror, designed to reflect the spiral's energy back at itself. There was only one problem: to activate it. Someone had to stay inside. A volunteer steps forward. An old soldier walked up. His name was Milo Thorn. He had no family left. No fear in his eyes. Just one sentence: if this gives my species a chance to fight, I'll do it. Roan saluted him. Eliza nodded, eyes heavy. Final activation. They placed Milo inside the machine. Wires connected to his mind. The spiral core placed before him. He stared into it. And whispered, "I know you're watching." The machine turned on. And the entire planet shook. The spiral screams for the first time. The spiral reacted with pain. All spirals around the solar system flashed red. The stars flickered. Dreamers woke up screaming. Ships in deep space reported being pushed back. The spiral's voice came again, angry now. "You cannot trap the ocean with a bottle. You will drown yourselves." Milo's final words inside the machine. Milo smiled. He was burning from the inside, but he kept speaking. "Then drown with us." The machine exploded. The core shattered. And for a full minute, all spirals vanished. Earth holds on. Elisa stood over the broken machine. No more whispering. No more humming. For now, she looked up at the stars and whispered, "We can still fight." Roan stood beside her. "But we're not fighting for Earth anymore," he said. Elisa turned. "We're fighting for the right to exist." 1 week after the spiral crash, the sky was quiet again. No forks. No signals. No spiral voices. But Earth knew better. It wasn't peace. It was silence before the next storm. Commander Eliza Ray stood at the top of the black anchor, now floating above the Pacific Ocean. She held the last piece of the broken fork in her hand, even shattered. It still pulsed. It still watched. A signal not meant for humans. Suddenly, Earth's deep space radar caught a new signal, not from the spiral, and not from the Council. It came from a place no one had spoken about in 10,000 years, the lost system of Thalzin, a system destroyed in ancient war, a system with no survivors. And yet, something now called Earth by name, Roan's warning. General Roan heard the signal himself. The voice was broken, robotic, ancient, but it said a sentence no alien should have known. "Earth still breathes. Protocol Zeta returns." Roan stood frozen. He turned to Eliza. Thalzin was the first to fight the spiral. She frowned. "I thought they were wiped out." Roan replied, "They were, but maybe something of them lived. And it's coming back." Arrival of the forgotten ship. 3 days later, something entered Earth orbit. A ship, bigger than a city, cracked, rusted, covered in spiral burns, but still flying. It did not request permission. It did not announce peace. It simply sent one message: "Open your sky. We carry the blade." The ship descends. The vessel landed in the Nevada desert. It groaned as it touched the ground, like metal remembering pain. Roan, Eliza, and an elite squad approached. The hatch opened. No one stepped out at first. Then. Figures appeared in the smoke. Tall, thin, wrapped in armor that looked grown, not built. Their eyes glowed orange, and their voices came not from mouths, but from their minds. "The last of Thalzin, we are the Echoborn," the leader said. "We were not saved. We were hidden. You awoke the spiral. Now we return." Elisa stepped forward. "Do you know how to stop it?" The Echoborn didn't answer. Instead, he raised his hand. A small object floated into the air. It looked like a spiral, but backwards. "The anti-spiral, what is this?" Roan asked. The Echoborn finally answered. "It's not a weapon, it's a truth. A lie so big, it burns the spiral's path." He handed it to Elisa. And as she held it, the air shifted. For a moment, the spiral's presence vanished. The deal, but There was a price. The Echoborn made it clear. You must give us access to the minds of your spiral marked. Roan's voice was firm. You mean the infected? The Echoborn nodded. Yes, their memories hold roots. We need them. Elissa looked at Roan. Is it worth the risk? Roan stared at the sky. We don't have another option. The mind harvest across the world, spiral-marked humans, those who had dreamt, those who had touched forks were gathered, not harmed but connected. The Echoborn placed a floating orb. Above each one, their memories were pulled, not erased but copied. Some cried, some screamed, but all survived. And what the Echoborn found shocked even them. A greater spiral. There are more, they said, greater than the forks. Gateways, not seeds. Dormant, sleeping, on planets you call dead. They showed a map. Not of the galaxy, but of another layer beneath it. An ancient spiral web. An Earth was the final key. A buried truth on Mars, the Echoborn revealed. One final location. Mars. Under its south pole, a core spiral gate, bigger than all forks. Old beyond time. And still beating. Elissa and Roan launched a mission immediately. The Mars descent. The shuttle broke Mars orbit at 0200 hours. Elissa, Roan, 2 Echoborn, and 6 soldiers made the drop. The ground was quiet. Too quiet. As they drilled through the ice. They hit metal. But not ship metal. Bone. Black, fossilized, spiral-shaped bone, and it pulsed. Contact as soon as they touched it. Everything stopped. The sound. The gravity. Even time felt slow. Then they heard it again. The spiral's voice. Not in anger. In amusement. You dig, little dreamers. But you dig inside me. A ghost awakens. Suddenly, one soldier began floating. His body lifted into the air, and his eyes turned black. He spoke with the spiral's voice. I was not sent. I was born in your son. I will return through your blood. Then the soldier exploded into dust. The escape. Elissa grabbed the anti-spiral token. It glowed bright, and the spiral voice screamed for the second time. The spiral retreated. The core beneath Mars dimmed. The team escaped back to orbit barely alive. Earth prepares for final defense. The Echoborn built a new structure on Earth's moon. A mirror array using anti-spiral energy. Elissa asked, what if the spiral comes in full force? The Echoborn replied, then we will not stop it, but we will hurt it. The final warning before leaving, the Echoborn leader placed his hand on Elissa's shoulder. There's one more truth, he whispered. What? She asked. He looked at Earth, then said, the spiral did not invade you. It was born inside your species. The calm before the storm. Earth's skies were dark, not because of night, because of silence. The spiral had vanished. Again, but it left behind a secret, the greatest secret of all. Elissa's discovery, back on Earth. Commander Eliza Ray studied ancient artifacts recovered from Mars and Earth's deepest ruins. One tablet caught her eye, symbols that matched the spiral. But there was one phrase repeated over and over, we are the spiral. She whispered, what does this mean? Roan's confession. General Roan called a private meeting. He showed Eliza a hidden file. A recording of an ancient human ancestor, not a man, not a woman, but something else. Being who spoke with a voice echoing. From another time, we were born from the spiral. It shaped us. It gave us thought, fear, and life. We are its children. Elissa stared. The spiral wasn't an enemy. It was part of humanity. The spiral's true nature, the Echoborn explained. The spiral was not a parasite, not a weapon. It was a force. Like gravity, like time. It shaped the universe, and it shaped humans. It lived inside all living things. The choice now. The spiral was waking fully. It wanted to finish its work. To join with humanity again. To become one. To evolve. But the cost? Humanity might lose its free will, become one mind, one will. Earth's Council debates leaders from every nation argued. Some wanted to accept the spiral's return. They said it was evolution. Others wanted to fight it. They feared losing themselves. Elisa stood and said, "This is not just survival. This is identity. What we choose now will decide who we are forever." Roan's last battle plan despite the choice. Roan prepared defenses. "We must be ready," he said, "but also open to hope." The spiral returns, then the sky lit up. The forks reappeared, the stars swirled. The spiral voice came again. But this time, it was different. Gentle. Warm. "We are one." Elisa's final moment. Elisa touched the largest fork. Her vision changed. She saw every human, every star. Every spiral in the universe. She understood. The spiral was inside her. Inside all of them. And it was love. Not hunger. Not fear. The new beginning. Spiral merged with humanity, not as a monster, but as a new life. Humans evolved. They saw the universe with new eyes. New minds. Together. The